So the industry itself needs to evolve. So first of all, we need to very quickly, straight away, adopt better practices in bunkering. And I know that the Port of Aberdeen, for example, has a very latest ways in which that can be done, and we can look at ways in which they adopt them locally. But then we need to transition to green energy, and we need to look at ways in which we, the bunkering itself, the fuels that are being bunkered are actually contain less sulfur, they're cleaner.
So absolutely cleaner fuels. LNG is already happening, and I think we need to, provided it's safely assessed, we need to continue that. Hydrogen is another option across the range of fuels. But I think we have to remember that we have to do it sensitively. The world is transitioning, and clearly fossil fuels are going to come to an end. But we must remember that about 2,000 jobs depend on the port, so we have to do it sensibly. We have to make sure that we don't just push bunkering from Gibraltar across the bay or across the Straits of Algeciras or Ceuta.
And I think that what we need to do is strengthen our oil production, pollution responses capability. And this goes back to the point I made earlier about better coordination. I know that the agencies have done the very best at the moment to respond given the emergencies we've had this year. But you're dealing with the Environment Department, the port, the Environmental Agency as enforcement agencies, but then you also have the NGOs.
So what measures should be put in place?
So we need an overarching strategy that brings all the stakeholders together, where they define quite clearly what their roles are and bring people in.
The response was extremely well coordinated. There was absolutely constant discussion and communication between the port, between the Environment Department and the NGOs and private agencies. It went very, very well considering what could have happened. People were working around the clock. I think it's an insult to them and to the hard work that they've done for Daniella now with no on-the-ground experience of it. And I can tell you that the coordination of everybody engaged in environmental work in Gibraltar is second to none.
Everybody knows what's happening with the Spanish netting in the east side. You can just go to the Caleta.
So what would you do about it? What measures would you introduce?
We need to enforce.
You're saying that enforcement isn't happening at the moment.
That's right. The laws are actually there. It's just the enforcement of it, And we've just invested, £150,000 in this new Osprey
I believe it's
boat.
140,000.
142. Thank you for that, Osprey. And where's the enforcement? I mean, I know it's being used a lot for research. And again, the question is, should our Department of the Environment be focused more on implementation than research? That's the key question to be asking, and leave the research to those whose core business is research.
This is so dangerous. I mean, Daniella's policies would unravel the network that we have of marine protection, of environmental protection in Gibraltar. Just hearing her, I mean, it's so frightening. Remember that Daniella is of the party of the fishing agreement that allowed illegal fishing in Gibraltar with the government's blessing, and I genuinely fear that they would come back to that, and that Daniella's influence is not big enough because it's shown in the manifesto, which is extremely weak on environment. Come on, 11 lines on climate change in a manifesto that Daniella Tilbury should have had involvement in.
Climate change has to be the most important, the most significant threat that we're facing in Gibraltar, without a doubt. And, we believe that the climate emergency is real and that we need urgent mitigation and adaptation. We need to walk the talk. That's critical. The fact that we have a net zero delivery body, for example, great, we applaud the concept. But what are they actually doing? We're not sure, because there's a complete lack of communication and transparency, as the independent climate committee identified.
The climate change strategies are our strategies, and the targets are our targets. There's nothing in their manifesto. I repeat, 11 lines and no targets on climate change.
But what action is being taken in terms of the net zero delivery body?
Is chaired by the Deputy Chief Minister. I am a member. So are many different aspects of entities in the public sector, and they are doing work in developing programs for reduction in carbon emissions in transport, in all sorts of different work in all government departments.